prevalent thought, I think, in today's society is the idea of karma, and that is that the world is held in a balance between good and evil. Good and evil are equal to each other, and actions are weighed to keep the balance. So if you do something bad to somebody, you can expect something bad to happen to you. That's karma, that's how things are balanced. I don't subscribe to that ideal at all. It's not Christian. I do recognise that there are some really ironic points in life where people get what they deserve. A little bit more along the lines of, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword sort of thing. But I wouldn't say that there's any particular truth in karma. The reason I don't believe that is because of my Christian background. And Christian background teaches something entirely different. First, the biggest misconception of the Christian thought is that good and evil are equal. Actually, they're not equal at all. They're about as equal as the military might of the US versus the military might of Luxembourg. That's sort of the balance. The world is terribly unbalanced towards good in that respect. The forces of good really do outweigh the forces of evil. By about 2/3 in the heavenly realm, at least. There are two realms. There is the heavenly realm, which you cannot see, and there is the temporal realm, most of which you can see. And there is a war going on. There is a spiritual war going on. This war started during a rebellion in the heavenly realm between somebody who was called Lucifer, who was a created being, and God, who was not a created being. Lucifer lost, and he was thrown out of most of the heavenly realm. He was given a little place to exist within the heavenly realm, but mostly he and all his followers were thrown out, and they went down to the temporal realm, which is what we exist in, and out of spite they basically spoilt God's creation. And thus, we have original sin, which is basically the potential of everyone to sin. They will have it even if they don't sin, even if they die as they're a little baby, because they have the potential to sin. It's now possible to sin. So, that sets the background. Now, the good news is that we are not doomed. The forces of light do prevail, and basically it's a massacre, really. You can imagine what the United States would do to something like Luxembourg. It's that sort of massacre. You have to understand that, because that really is a very, very important point that gets missed out in all of this. The forces of good are at a serious advantage. The reason why it doesn't feel like they're at a serious advantage is because of our position. We're in the temporal realm, we're not in the heavenly realm. And the temporal realm is pretty much owned by the evil. It's owned because they were thrown out of the heavenly realm. So we're sort of stuck in that. And our place really, as being born under the curse of sin, is pretty much that. That we are, one of those, one composite of that evil. It doesn't have to be like that, and for people, I think, who are Christian and who have accepted Christ's sacrifice, which ultimately wins the war, those of us who understand that recognise that the war is won. What we also recognise is that the battles, all the particular battles, are not over yet, and therefore the war is still raging around us now. And I think that there's a thought to be quite detached from this, and to think that you never come into contact with angels or demons. This is certainly not true from a biblical perspective. St. Paul writes that people have entertained angels and been unaware. And Job is tested by God, and God uses, basically devils, to assault him. And so I do actually believe, and I do believe it's biblically based, that this war that's going on around us is pretty much something that we come into interaction with all the time. Now it becomes important to show the differences between how the forces of light and how the forces of darkness work. Because we're sort of a spirit trapped in a mortal body, our minds are always open to influence. They're open to what I call whispers, of which there are two sorts. There are the demonic and there are the angelic. The demonic thoughts are most prevalent. They're most prevalent because we're, of course, in their territory. They're also most prevalent because sin blocks the whispers of the angelic. You, 9 times out of 10, won't notice these sort of whispers, because what they do, they are sort of more or less thought patterns. I can only really give an example of how they affect me. One of the chinks in my armour is depression. Somebody says something to me, it upsets me. If it upsets me, it weakens me to what I call being predisposed to a spiral of despair. That is, a set of lies that are fed to me when I am feeling down to make me feel worse. The point is just to make me feel bad and to shift me away from, you know, the truth and what is good. There's no particular harm meant in it. It's not meant to kill me. I'm not being, you know, possessed or anything like that. But I am being whispered to and I am being fed lies. And what starts off as being upset because of one thing ends up in you feeling completely worthless for a whole number of reasons that don't have anything to do with what you started with. That spiral is unnatural. It's created, I believe, by these little whispers that feed your mind, you know, faulty information. You know, so-and-so, for example, if you fail a job interview, you might then think that that means that you are no good at the position that you applied for. Or perhaps you then start to think, well, you know, it's a personal vendetta, isn't it? You know, this always happens to me. I'm useless, perhaps I should give up. And you see how it develops. It goes down and down and down. And you're being fed information there. In the same way, you can be used to upset other people. And, you know, the way that the forces of darkness work, they don't ask your permission. They force themselves onto you. They pretty much violate you. You don't even know it's happening most of the time. The forces of light are completely different. They don't tend to speak unless you are open to listening to them. This is because they respect free will. They don't mindlessly chatter at you in an attempt to distract you. And so you have to be sort of attuned, you have to be listening, you have to be looking for them. Or you have to be in need and you have to basically ask for help. And these are what I call pathways of ascension. And that's when you're planning on doing something not particularly good and your conscience gives you a prick. Or perhaps you're just planning on doing something that's morally wrong and your mind starts asking you questions, you know, or about the morality of what you're doing, stuff like that. Those are the opposite. So you get fed information that is trying to help you. It is really like, you know, the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other side. It really is like that. That is a very good, I think, way of thinking about it.